I used to believe that narcissism was something that appeared in adulthood, shaped by success, power, or trauma. I never imagined that I would see its first seeds inside a child. I never thought I would look into young eyes and feel something cold, something calculating, something that did not belong to innocence. He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You'll find it in the description and comments. At the time, I didn't know what I was witnessing. I only knew that something in this child's emotional world felt wrong. In the beginning, everything looked normal. Intelligence, charisma, confidence that adults praised as leadership. There were no tantrums that stood out, no obvious cruelty. But there was a pattern that unsettled me. Rules did not apply. Consequences did not register. Apologies were performances, not reflections. When confronted, the child did not show guilt, only irritation at being challenged. And when someone else was hurt, the reaction was not concern, but calculation. How does this affect me? At first, I questioned myself. Am I being too strict? Am I projecting? Am I misunderstanding childhood behavior? But the behaviors repeated. Manipulation of other children, lying without fear. Charm used strategically with adults. Blame shifted effortlessly. Reality was rewritten whenever accountability appeared. And I began to understand something terrifying. This was not immaturity. This was emotional patterning. What frightened me most was not the defiance. It was the absence of empathy. When someone cried, there was curiosity, not compassion. When consequences came, there was anger, not remorse. And when praise was given, it was consumed like fuel. The child did not seek connection, they sought control. Isn't it disturbing when something that should be nurtured begins to dominate instead? The environment only reinforced it. Excuses were made. Behavior was minimized. They're just confident. They're just strong-willed. They're special. That there is a difference between confidence and entitlement, between leadership and domination. And when boundaries were inconsistent, something dark began to solidify. Power was learned, not through abuse, but through indulgence, admiration, and the absence of emotional correction. The breaking point came when I witnessed deliberate cruelty, not impulsive, not emotional, calculated. A situation where another child was humiliated and the reaction was not regret, it was satisfaction. And in that moment, I felt something collapse inside me. I realized I was not watching difficult behavior. I was watching the early architecture of narcissism being built in real time. I confronted the pattern. I pushed for accountability, for emotional education, for boundaries. And what I faced was resistance, not from the child alone, but from the adults around them. Because confronting narcissistic development in a child is uncomfortable. It challenges our ideal of innocence. It forces us to admit that personality is not only shaped by trauma, but also by unchecked reinforcement. And it asks a terrifying question: what happens when we confuse admiration with love? Walking away from that environment was not easy. I carried guilt, fear, doubt. Was I exaggerating? Was I abandoning responsibility? But clarity came with distance. I began studying narcissistic development, how excessive praise without accountability, lack of emotional boundaries, and reinforcement of superiority can form patterns of entitlement, manipulation, and emotional detachment. I learned that while children are not diagnosed with personality disorders, narcissistic traits can absolutely be shaped or challenged in early development. Rebuilding myself after witnessing that process was about redefining compassion. Compassion is not indulgence. Love is not the absence of limits. And empathy cannot be taught through admiration alone. It must be modeled, reinforced, and protected. I asked myself hard questions. Why did I excuse what felt wrong? Why did I stay silent when behavior crossed emotional lines? Why did I confuse potential with character? And instead of condemning myself, I chose awareness. because recognizing a pattern is the first step in breaking it. Today, I no longer romanticize destructive traits in children. I understand that emotional development is not automatic, it is guided. And when guidance is replaced by entitlement, something dangerous can grow quietly. This is not about labeling children as monsters. It is about acknowledging that without boundaries, accountability, and emotional education, power can replace empathy long before adulthood arrives. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance in a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. Healing is not about blaming a child. It is about understanding the systems that shape minds and choosing to protect your own from what you cannot change. And when you finally accept that not every story ends in redemption, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying to fix what is not yours, and you begin living in truth. True freedom begins in the mind, and only then appears in life. If this story resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey with us as we uncover toxic minds and rebuild stronger ones together.